Welcome everybody, Shir number 946. We're learning today Lila Nishmas Moshe Dov Ben Rabban Zisel, Lila Nishmas Blima Basra Moshe, and the Refuah Shalem Elio Ben Dina Malka. Getting back to our malacha of MAKEH B'PATISH. Okay, we are finishing off the gezeros. We mentioned the last previous shiurim. There are 6 gezeros in general of MAKEH B'PATISH Tikemana. Meaning midrabanan, certain gezeras whereby certain things can't be done, and we are on the last one, which is in the general concept of folding clothing, folding garments, possibly paper, folding paper, how, what, when, and where, how does it work? And we basically mentioned the fact that the Isser is ke tikkun mana, ke'ein tikkun mana, nira ke tikkun mana. In other words, it looks like fixing of a garment. It's not an actual fixing of a garment, it is midrabanan, but if its item is folded the wrong way, which we'll see there's certain ways that it could be folded certain times, it's ke'ein tikkun mana, it's a gezerah, it's a midrabanan of tikkun mana. It looks like tikkun mana. Okay, so getting back to, we spoke about last time the 5 conditions that one needs, just real quickly to chazer over to review the 5 conditions that one actually needs to be able to fold a garment. Number 1, we said it has to be for that day. It has to be for the same Shabbos. That's condition number 1. Condition number 2, it has to be, and condition number 1, if you do it during the week or for the next Shabbos or so on, it won't help. Condition number 2, it has to be one person. You can't have 2 people doing it, folding the garment, and even on a table and so on. That is not supposed to be done. That nullifies that condition, says the Mishnah Berurah. On a safsol, he says on a chair, on a table, on a stool, and so on. The next condition is that it has to be, the third condition, that it be new. It has to be new, and it has to be not washed, not dry clean, not washed, and so on. It has to be new. Thereby, it keeps the creases are still strong, and it doesn't look like such a fixing. The fourth condition is that it has to be white or light color, like a TALIS, for example, would fall into that category. It has to be light color white, and we'll talk about the light color. I don't want to get into that right now, but it has to be, let's say, white for argument's sake, like a TALIS. And it has to be, and it can't be dark. Dark color, we says, is the folding of a dark colored garment is a stronger fixing. And the last condition, we said, that it has to be that you don't have another one. In other words, if, for example, it's a talis, I don't have another talis, and we said the Mishnah Berurah mentioned a weekday talis would qualify as that you do not have another one. It has to be another Shabbos talis, for example. Now, the Mishnah Berurah says an interesting thing, just to think something to keep in mind, which does come up. He says Mikol Makam. He brings this down in Sif Cotton Yud Zion, that I wanted to mention. Sometimes it comes up. Mikol Makam be Yom Tov. When Yom Tov shechol be'erev Shabbos, when Yom Tov falls on erev Shabbos. Now, as we know, we make erev tafshilin beforehand. When Yom Tov falls on erev Shabbos, cooking or whatever things to be done to get ready for Shabbos, and therefore we have what's called the erev tafshilin, which is made before Yom Tov. So then he says the Mishnah Berurah, muter lekol talisai. One would be allowed to fold their talis on that Yom Tov if it falls erev Shabbos, when they remove the talis, but imhi chadosha, you have to have a few of the conditions. Number 1, it has to be new, right, and not washed. Imhi chadosha, it's new. Let's say a person has a new talis, they never cleaned it, have a brand new talis. Imhi chadosha ulevana, and it's white, which most talesim are. But you'll say, 1 second, you're missing the condition. And we're talking about, of course, one person, right? Which we mentioned. Good, I'll fold it myself. One person, very good. And I'm not going to use a table, whatever. But you're missing the condition that it's for the same day. You're folding it for tomorrow, which is Shabbos, because the same halachas apply on Yom Tov. We're going to see when we say you can't fold your pants on the line, it also applies to Yom Tov and to Shabbos. But over here, when we're taught the talis, you're not going to wear the talis anymore for today. I'll be wearing it Shabbos, which is tomorrow. So how could I do that? Because of the fact, says the Mishnah Berurah, you made a erev tafshilin, and as we know in general, erev tafshilin lets you do certain things on Yom Tif which you're allowed to do anyways on Yom Tov, but the fact, in other words, it's like this, to prepare from one day Yom Tov to the next, you're not allowed to do, but when you do it, when there's an erev tavshilin from erev Yom Tov into Shabbos, then you're allowed to do certain things. So as long as you have an erev tavshilin, a new talis, it fulfills the condition of a new talis, it's white, one person, and so on, will let you do it. The ilav hachi harei asur loy lahachin letzarech macher. Otherwise, without the erev tavshilin, you would not be allowed to do it. Now, the Mishnah Berurah brings out an interesting thing, which usually doesn't apply. Most people have an erev tavshilin, but he says al b'chidushay Rabbi Akiva Eger hachiach the af beloy hiniach erev tavshilin. Even if somebody did not have an erev tavshilin, you have to have an erev tavshilin for various different reasons, which we're not going to get into right now, obviously. But even so, he brings out from the Chidush Rabbi Akiva Eger, shari hi im hi smucha l'Shabbos. As long as you have the other conditions, it's close to Shabbos and so on, it would still be allowed. Okay, most of the time we do have an erev tavshilin. Now, we're going to get back to the conditions and try and get into them a little bit more, but says the Mechaba further, a very, very important thing, which is what most of us do today. Bottom line is, let's say like my talis, I take it off. It's not new, right? It's been washed, it's been cleaned, or whatever the case is, and it's I'm not doing it for today. We're not talking about now, back to a regular Shabbos. We're not talking about when Yom Tov is Erev Shabbos. Back to a regular Shabbos. I don't meet the conditions, so what do I do with my talis? I can't just hold it the whole day. So says the Mechaber that brings from the Mordechai and others, V'yesh Misha Omer, that V'yesh Misha Omer the lekaploi shaloi keseder, if you this item not in the regular way, kipulai harisha, not in the regular kipulai harisha, like in the first crease sort of, is mutter. We'll try and see what that means. Mutter b'chol inyan. Then it's always allowed. There's no problem. V'nirin devaris. And he says these are the clear words. These are the words that we go by. But we want to see what this is all about. Why, if I don't fold it in the regular way, right, or fold it on the regular crease or so on the original kipuli arisha, like the original crease, why is it okay? As we know, most people fold their talis backwards and not on the crease and so on. And what's the deal with that? Why is that okay? So the Mishnah Berurah tells us that in Sifkat and Yod Ches, that mutter b'chol inyan, this is always going to be allowed. So brings the Mechaber and the Yesh Misha Omer she'ein l'kipulei zeh shum kiyum. This folding of not on the crease, it doesn't have any kiyum. It's not gonna help you. Therefore, v'ein kam misaken klal. It doesn't fall under the category whereby it looks like I'm fixing the talis. If I fold it not on the creases, or I fold it backwards, or so on, like people do, so then there's no kiyum to that. It's not gonna help you. It's not gonna stay creased. It's not gonna really fix your talis. It might prevent it from being totally creased up. But like if you just squash it, put it in your stender, that's you'll ruin the talis. But the bottom line is, it's not gonna, if you fold it up nicely, not on the crease, in other words, like backwards or whatever the case is, not the regular way, and not along the creases, it's not going to have any kiyum. It's not going to be enough whereby it'll look like a fixing of the talis. Ve'in kan misaken klal, says the Mishnah Berurah in Sifkat and Yod Ches, lefichach, therefore is mutter afilu ein boy echad me'elu hadalad pratim. Even though it would still be allowed to do, if you're folding it like backwards or not on the original crease, it would still be allowed, even though you don't have the other four conditions. Afilu ein daite lelav shabbai bayamin, even the hachana part, even you're not planning on wearing it the same day, which could be a problem of hachana. And how does that work? We have to see in the upcoming shiurim. Thank you for listening. Atzloch and bracha kol tov.